I think about like, how people still support the idea of hypergamy, and people don't really see how toxic it really is. When obviously the cliche that I believe is true is health is wealth. And of course, I don't really have a certain inverted perspective about health is wealth because that is true. However, given the way that I am at my channel, well, there definitely still is a certain inversion, or in this case, diversion from that perspective of health is wealth. So given the title of this upload, romantic health is wealth. So taking out the hypergamy side of it. Okay, ideally, what is being romantic? Okay, now romantic, if you look it up, is just an ideal, if you will, about how you are around the other gender. That's pretty much what the idea of romantic is. And romantic actually did not stem from the idea of love originally, but it became that way over time if you look it up. Don't take my word for it. But fast forward to today's times. You want wealth? Well, it's not going to come in money. It's literally going to come in the honey. It's going to become possible based on the sweetness, the greetness, the way you greet each other, the way you are for each other. That's where the wealth is. It's not in the money itself. It's in the honey. It's in, hey, honey, things like that. Going both ways with that situation. That's where the real wealth is. So if you are around someone, fellas, and she's talking about how she needs a man to be a provider, and that's the only way a man is going to get inside her, yeah, you just pass right by her, literally. Okay? And, because after so long, you're going to get a chick that's like Jeff Bezos' wife. He's one of the richest men in the world, but yet she still wants to go for a guy that's less rich. Now, you have females that still be like, well, it doesn't matter. These other guys are rich too. No, you got to understand, if she's with a rich guy, why does she need another rich guy? So there's other things that draw the feminine away from a man, despite his money, especially when she knows that's a given that she already got it in the first place. So with that said, the romantic health is wealth because when you put all the money aside, it's about, are you really sweet to me? Or are you pretty much trying to have honey for someone else? If you're trying to have honey for someone else, or is you trying to go out to seek other honey? That's where you look at the whole situation. And I believe in a nutshell, it's that simple to know if this is going to be a prosperous union between you two or not. Just think about how sweet the person is with you overall, or underneath that is some poison, because you'll know, this is not really hard to explain. It's just been more or less something that most people overlook. Okay. You feel, we know this, when a person has a toxic undertone, when there's things they don't want to talk about, when there's things that they kind of do covertly, when people aren't direct with you. We know these things. So I believe going forward, you just try to make sure that's not even part of the situation. And yes, I believe arguments overall are toxic. They are. Because see, it's like this. When you're really moving along with a person, it's like sometimes moving. And sometimes you're going to have those heavier pieces of, you're going to have some heavier boxes to move into a house. And there's the natural emotional response of something that's heavy to carry after so long. You're going to need a break, or you're going to be like, hey, can we kind of do this a different way? Because you're starting to really feel the weight. Those are natural things. So you take time to rest and then readjust, and then you keep it moving. You keep moving the boxes. Okay. You try to relieve the tension in that situation. So I believe in regards to the way you have certain relationships, if you will, certain types of relationships, as I like to say better, you start to do everything you can to relieve the tension amongst each other, even when things start to get heavy and burdensome and long in the tooth. But remember, you're moving into a nice house, okay? Depending on the situation, depending on what y'all going through. Sometimes you two need a break either from each other or just more or less make a break for each other, like a vacation, a staycation. Just make it to where you two know that the love is still there despite the things you two have to go through, so that you two know it's not either of you, it's just what we're going through. And that's how you two continue to build on the romantic health as wealth. And I can go deeper into this more one day, and eventually I will, but we have to get money out of the conversation. Because see, even rich people, what makes people rich or wealthy is that they did not focus on the money. They focused on the lifestyle, and they did whatever it took. They did whatever it took to achieve that lifestyle that they have, to where they're no longer working paycheck to paycheck. They're not worried about the bills they have to pay. They're not worried about this expense or that expense, but it took them having certain sacrifices. It took them having to carry certain boxes, but they knew they were moving those boxes into a nice house. Okay. So in regards to the romantic health as wealth, if you want to avoid certain types of relationships and things like that, okay, the typical problems that you've had before or may know, or you may have known of before, well, that's going to literally take you having certain sacrifices. It's going to take you putting out more. But in between that, you don't give up on the other person, because I believe that real love does not give up on the other person. Okay. If you have a problem with somebody, you can talk about it, but you don't say things like, well, I don't think this is going to work. We need to be friends, or, some excuse like that. Okay. Because let's say you apply that to a world of wealthy folk who, you told them you wanted to be a certain way, but then you said, I don't think this is going to work. Well, the wealthy person going to look at you and say, well, you never had it in you anyway. Okay. So that's a given. You're going to say that. And guess what? Most people who claim they want successful relationships and be successful at love, they never had it in them anyway, because they're the first people that are going to complain. They're the first person that's going to argue, get into fights, or give up. They never had it in them anyway. That's why they're fighting it. They're going to leave that box that you're moving with them in the living room, and they're going to walk away from the house, not realizing the house that they're moving into. The true wealth, the true vision. People give up on the vision all the time. All the time. And so that's why most people are poor in regards to, the success of different relationships. Most